Hello, and welcome everyone to the Vintage Camper Trailers first ever online boot camp summit. Yay! So, thank you so much for being here. My name is Mechelle, and along with my husband Rob, we are the co-owners of Trailer Magic, a vintage trailer reimagining and restoration business located in Carson City, Nevada. That's Rob down there. I do all the design and he does all of the building. And one thing that we always say about vintage trailers is that it's not just about how you get there, the destination. A lot of it has to do with how you feel when you get there, how you feel when you're camping in your vintage dream. And that's what I want to talk about today. So why are we here? We all love vintage. We all love vintage trailers. We're all interested in the hobby. And so I want to talk about that you could be doing a lot of things. You could be buying a new trailer with that money. You could be certainly getting something easier that doesn't require restoration. But I think that there's a lot more to vintage trailers than that. And I want to talk about design. I think specifically on stick and tin trailers, canned ham style trailers is what they're commonly called. On the screen, you'll see on the left a 1960 Holiday House, a more unique trailer because of the windows, and on the right is a 1961 Shasta. These are both trailers that we've restored. I'm going to show you a few others. On the left is a 1973 Excel named Foxy, and on the right is Gidget. She's our 1965 Fireball that we camp in almost exclusively. And on the left here is a 1953 King that we did for our friends. And on the right is a 1954 Dalton that I'll be showing a little bit more about later. On the left here is a 1957 Leisure Home and a 1959 tag-along on the right called the Pink Palace. The Pink Palace was kind of unique because unlike all the others I've shown you, which are aluminum skinned trailers, and when I say stick and tin, what I mean is they all have in common that they have a wooden frame inside covered by an aluminum skin. Whereas the one on the right, the Pink Palace, the tag-along is really what it was unusual because it had a steel skin, which contributed to the rust and patina that you see. You'll never see rust on an aluminum trailer because aluminum doesn't rust. So that was something that we thought was unique enough to celebrate and keep. So that was sealed with a clear coat to protect that, that rust and patina. And I'll be showing you some more pictures of this trailer. But I think the first thing you need to consider when you're talking about your trailer is, and you're talking about design of your trailer, is how are you going to approach it? Is this a frame-up restoration? Everything has to go. Everything is not salvageable. Or is it salvageable? Are there pieces of parts you can repair? Or is it just cosmetics? I think that that's going to be a factor of a few different things, primarily your budget. Do you have the budget to do a full frame if you need to? If not, maybe that's not the trailer for you. But that's something you work through, and that's something that you will decide, and that's something we can certainly help you with at Trailer Magic, making that decision. But most importantly, what is the condition of the trailer? And I think that that will help you decide what you do going forward. I also ask, what years, these are some really basic questions that I always ask of everyone I do design sessions with, but what year is your trailer? Because the era of the trailer matters. How you're going to approach a 40s trailer is really different than a 70s trailer. Who is going to be using the trailer? Are they male or female? Is it a family? How old are the people who are going to be using it? Who's going to sleep in it? How many people are going to be sleeping in it? So that's really going to decide how you build out the interior and the design choices you make. How will they be using it? Will they be boondocking, or are you going to be off-grid? Are you going to be in trailer parks or state parks? You know, do you need hookups? Do you need tanks? Do you need solar? All of those are questions that only you know. And what are the owner's favorite colors? What are your favorite colors? You may as well surround yourself with that which makes you happy. Do you plan to bring pets? Because pets are a whole nother wrinkle in a trailer. You want to make sure you accommodate their needs so that you and your pet are comfortable. Will you be cooking inside your trailer? Obviously, all trailers came with little kitchens, but if we're restoring them or if we're redesigning them, we have a lot of latitude about what we put back in. So do you require a stovetop and an oven? Do you need a refrigerator? You know, not all of these things are necessarily givens. It's depending upon use. And I'll show you that in my trailer later. Bathrooms are a really big conversation point. Something I think most everybody would like to have, but they're not sure if they have the room for them, especially in these little trailers. Gidget, my 12-foot trailer, has a bathroom, and she's actually 12 foot with the tongue. So the trailer itself is much smaller, but it is possible. We try to do bathrooms whenever we can. And do you have an inspiration piece? Do you have something that just makes you happy when you look at it? A piece of art, some vintage piece of glass. It might be something as simple as a piece of nostalgic art glass that you've collected, or a piece of kitchenware. But maybe it's fabric, a vibe that you want to create. I think it's important to start with your inspiration piece because you'll build from there. That will kind of be your North Star in your design. So for the purposes of this conversation today, I'm going to be talking a lot about a 1963 Field and Stream trailer that we have in our shop. That's a picture of it actually sitting right there next to my Gidget in our shop. What makes this trailer unique is these two things specifically. This right here and this right here. These two bump outs in the profile are very reminiscent of the Holiday House. And these wrap-around windows here. These windows, for a trailer, that's a lot of windows. They don't always have so many windows. And so I think that that's partly what makes this one really special, and its size. It's pretty small. I like to pick trailers that have a lot of windows because I think that will bring in lightness and brightness to what is really typically a very small space and make it feel bigger. Last thing you want to do is make it feel smaller. You can see down here in the picture on the right, that's what it looks like right now on the inside. And I really think that the layout and the design wasn't capitalizing on what is so cool about this trailer, but we're going to work on that. Okay, so the next thing is, what's my inspiration? Got to decide, how am I going to approach this Field and Stream trailer? Recently, we had done more neutral trailers, or what I would call more feminine trailers, and a lot of them were sold to female customers of ours, so it made sense, but I really wanted this Field and Stream to be perhaps more masculine. So how did I choose the design for this trailer? So I really start with 3 points. Size matters. Small trailers need a simpler design to not look cluttered. I think that's just true. It's true of houses. I think, apartments. I think it's true in trailers. Smaller needs to be simpler. Number 2, this trailer will have lots of windows, so curtain fabric is going to be important. It's going to be prominent. And I always I put my curtains on I always double side the curtains when I make them. I make all the curtains for the trailers we do. And I always make sure they're double sided so you can see the curtains from the outside of the trailer as well as on the inside of the trailer, because you're probably going to have the same pride on the outside of your trailer, and you'll probably paint some beautiful detail that was the original design of the trailer itself. So you want to pick colors that really harmonize with that and look good on the inside and outside. And number 3 is you need to ensure that the flooring and the upholstery complement the curtains. You don't want competing patterns. You don't want too many patterns. You don't want too much visual noise, because then it starts to feel small. Everything works against you when you're designing in a small space, so you have to be really careful of that. So what's in a name? This trailer is called the Field and Stream. I like to let the names sometimes influence my design, and perhaps it sounds more outdoorsy, a Field and Stream. I also think when I hear that it sounds green. fields and streams or green. So my intention is to do a more masculine one, as I said, and I think green's going to be a perfect overall color for this trailer in my color scheme, and I think it's really going to fit with the era. There's a lot of greens in the early 60s, so I like that. So what was my inspiration when you think about what was masculine in 1963, or what was the design? If you look at these three gentlemen representing some excellent design in 1963, you've got some trends here: simple, tailored, streamlined, understated, if anything. And I think that that is certainly hallmarks of 1963. But when I think what was masculine in 1963, I think Don Draper from the TV show Mad Men. I loved his design. He himself was an ad man at the time, and in the show he had impeccable taste, and so I kind of let Don Draper be my inspiration. So again, using what I said as my formula, I start with the curtains, because curtains are 99% of the time going to be a pattern. They're going to be something that, if that is your starting point, everything else has to harmonize with it. So I went to spoonflower.com, which is a website that creates fabric. They have thousands of fabrics that you can choose from, and they will print them on almost any textile you want. And I typed in my search our keywords Don Draper, and this is what it came up with, which I think is so perfect. It was green, and it was certainly mid-century, and I think it was simple and elegant, and I think that it's going to be perfect. I liked the size of the pattern too. It wasn't too small, which small patterns can sometimes end up looking calico from a distance, visually too busy, and if it's too big, well, you can miss it when it's too small, and if it's too big, it can look like wallpaper, which for a 60s trailer you don't want. Maybe for a 70s trailer, something that is a bigger floral or something would be appropriate, but not for this one. And then after picking my curtains, I tend to go to my flooring. I think flooring is something that has to be foundational. Obviously, it's flooring. I wanted something here that would pick up that beautiful gray color that we had in the Don Draper fabric. I think that this is called a Lucida Monocore. It's a waterproof click-lock flooring. We've used it in other trailers. It wears really well. The colors are really rich, high pigment, and they last for years. And we've camped in Gidget forever, and it's been a really good floor. So I'm pretty happy with this product, and I think it's going to give that calmness that I'm looking for, that will really highlight the curtains and let them be the actor in the room. Next, I picked the upholstery. For this one, I wanted something that was textural and soft but durable. I wanted it to add dimension without competing with the curtains with another pattern. So that's why I chose this. It's called a chenille. It's got a loop to it. It's very soft to the hand, but it's really durable. It's an upholstery grade fabric, and I think it's going to give that complement really nice to the curtains and to the flooring. And then the walls themselves. There's a forever debate on, do you paint? Do you leave them natural wood? I think that conversation oftentimes is dictated by what you're starting with. If you're starting with a trailer that's already painted, it's really hard to take it back down to the original wood. But if you're going down to a frame-up restoration and you can redo the wood, which sadly always seems to be what we're faced with, unless we're just doing some repairs, then we're ending up with new wood. This is birch. This is a lovely birch plywood that we use. This is a picture of one of the walls inside our holiday house. And I think that you can see that it's a light color. It's not going to make the space look smaller. It's got a nice green pattern that you can see, but it's not busy and it's not competing. A lot of trailers started out with a paneling where you can see the ridges of the paneling. I don't prefer that. I think this is a simpler, cleaner look. And I think it's going to contribute to helping the trailer look light and bright. And help, again, always making that small space seem bigger. one more thing about the walls. You could certainly, if your trailer is one that doesn't require a lot of restoration, you can always paint it. There's nothing wrong with paint. I think that especially if you've addressed any of the problematic places where you may have had water damage or any leaks, as long as you've taken that compromised wood out and replaced it with new wood so that you're structurally strong, painted trailers can be really beautiful too. But I always say, if you're going down to the frame, only one customer we've ever worked with asked us to do a full frame up restoration and then paint it. They really wanted that painted look, and that was on the 73 Excel that called Foxy. Most of the time people want to see the beautiful wood grain. So getting to laminate. If you think back to that fabric we chose, the Don Draper fabric, it kind of had a hash mark to it, but it was also green. So I have these two samples here that you also see on your screen. This green, obviously, it matches the curtains really well. It's simple. I think it goes with our more masculine theme, but it's a very bright color in its own way. I'm actually loving this one. As you can see, it's got a hash mark quality to it that I think is reminiscent in the curtains. I think that gray is going to pick up the floor and also complement that green upholstery with the beautiful texture that we're doing. So I think I'm going to go with that hash mark gray. I think that it's going to be a really nice laminate. And remember, laminates, these trailers are small spaces. And so it's not like you've got, yards and yards to cover. You're usually talking only, 24 inches deep and maybe a few inches wide. So you want to pick something that you really like. So I feel that we've come to this place of one cohesive theme. I think the palette will make for a really visually comfortable trailer. I think, although photos kind of distort it here, it's not the true colors as I can see them from my perspective, but I believe it's really going to go with the era of the trailer. You've got these nice, it's not exactly an olive green, but it's a really beautiful green with that gray and the pretty birch wood. I think it's going to be perfect. I always kind of caution my clients that you want to stay in the true era of the trailer. If you have a 50s trailer, you want to look at designing something that is more from the 50s. That's how the Pink Palace was. I'll show you some more about inspiration pieces, but you want it to look like it came from the era it was in, not like it is a caricature of the era it was in. And we'll talk about that too. You don't want to cross over into something that's too kitschy or, as I said, caricature-like. I think Don Draper would like this trailer. I think that it would have looked appropriate in 1963. And so this is the one that we're working on right now. It's not done yet. We've ordered all the materials and Rob's busy building it, and hopefully you'll get to see it at a rally later this summer. Bathrooms. So if your trailer doesn't have a bathroom, and most canned ham and stick and tin little tiny trailers didn't, it's not to say it can't have one. I think that it's a worthwhile addition. And again, it comes to the functionality of your trailer. If you don't mind getting up in the middle of the night and going across the park to use the restroom, wonderful. Then it's not important for you. We can use that space for a pantry or storage, which there's never enough storage in a trailer. So I guess it all comes down to your functionality. I prioritize a bathroom. I like that. And so I always try my best to find a way to put one in. And whether or not your trailer is going to have tanks or if it's going to be a park model. What I mean by that is you can see in this picture that the toilet itself is elevated on a step. Underneath that step is a holding tank that catches all your black water. And then it's got I forget what it's called, but you pull the thing and the waste goes out into the flexible tube out to the sewer when you're in a trailer park or a place that has hookups. And it's also nice because you can use it up to the capacity of the tank even if you're boondocking or off-grid or don't have a hookup. So I find that that's a very nice feature. This trailer also has hot and cold running water. As you can see, it's got the little sink in it. And I always like to highlight original fixtures. That bathroom light fixture was original to this trailer, so I thought it was really important to keep all the original fixtures as much as possible, especially when you have to do a frame-up restoration. So functionality and personal taste. I think you always need to, as I said in those initial questions that I ask of every customer we're working with, I try to understand their functionality and their personal taste when I'm choosing the color palette that we're going to be using for their interior finishes. Pets, personal inspiration, all of that comes into play at this point. One of our clients really wanted their dog to be an important consideration as we designed this trailer. And so for them, we built in this feed station for the trailer for their dogs. She had one dog, and they didn't want to be tripping over the water bowl, the food bowl. They didn't want that. So we built it into the drawer, and those bowls are removable, so you can clean them before you travel and just shut the drawer. There was another cupboard to hold the dog food and their bottled water. And I thought that was a really good way to highlight what mattered to her. She also talked about, when we talked about hobbies, music was a big influence for her. So her dog was a yellow lab, and you can see I found a piece of art that highlighted a dog that looked like hers doing the thing that she liked to do, which is music. And it went really well in her trailer. So this was a frame-up restoration. It was also a fireball, but it was the kind that had the big overhead in the front. We did the light birch interior, two-sided curtains, which you can see she picked a very bright fabric. I helped her pick the bright fabric, but she really wanted something that really popped. And the outside of the trailer had a chartreuse green stripe, so it went great. We did this upholstery, which again has a kind of a tweedy feel to it, was more of an aqua blue with a green thread that was through it. So it really complemented those curtains, you can see, and this orange floor just popped. So, oh, and the green laminate, which you can see was around the dog bowl. That was up on the kitchen counters as well, so, and on the dining room table. So all of it really came together nicely with only that one pattern. This is a way to show you about favorite colors. This is my trailer Gidget, the 65 Fireball, and we've been camping in her for a few years. And colors matter. My favorite colors are teal blue, aquamarine blue, turquoise blue, and orange. So you can see that featured really prominently in this trailer design. I like bright colors. I like lots of windows. So when I designed this trailer, we actually changed the windowscape. It didn't have wraparound windows, as you can see it does now. Rob redesigned that, and he bent the plexi and built it so that we took out those corners, those supports, and opened it up so it could be lighter and brighter. And you have that opportunity to do things like that when you're doing a frame-up restoration. There's more confines. You have to stick within the blueprint you've got when you're just doing a restoration within the confines of the original trailer. I saved all of the original light fixtures. You can see that over the kitchen sink in the picture on the right, and you can see it in the center picture up above. This one opens up to a queen-size bed, a little smaller than a queen, and it has a little dinette you can see on the bottom left. It's got a refrigerator. I went with a really bright laminate here, which I know might be a risk, but I did Roman shades. So when they're up, you don't really see too much of it, and then when it comes down this way, they don't go side to side like most curtains. I really wanted to capture that wraparound feeling of the windows, so I did a Roman shade that just pulls up. And in the back, you can see in the kitchen area, it's got a refrigerator, hot and cold running water. I used the original sink, which was teal blue, so that really played to my palette. And that's not an oven. When you pull that door down, it's got an induction cooktop. So you can take some liberties. You can be creative with using your space. And that door right there goes into the bathroom. So I think that you can see that all things are possible, even in small spaces. You just have to be creative with your layout. These are some more objects that have influenced trailers and something I'm hoping that you'll think about in your design. On the picture on the left, you'll see that little gold and pink lamp. It was a pair of lamps that I had found on eBay, and I thought they were beautiful. And this is a late 50s trailer. So I thought, that just looked like, what you envision your childhood home looking like in the 50s. And pink was such a big color in the in the 50s, so I did a pink sparkle laminate to go with it. So pink and gold became prominent. I found, actually my friend Donna found fiberglass, original fiberglass curtains that we altered to make fit. Because original textiles can be so cool, and it doesn't have to be new fabric. It can be old fabric that if you've got enough of it to use it, that would be great. In the picture in the center, this is the 73 XL. What was so special about this one, because you would say a 73, maybe not the most mid-century or desirable trailers, but this trailer had the most beautiful flooring. It was orange, my favorite color, but it was in rough shape. It had been used as an ice house for ice fishing on a lake in the Midwest, and the trailer was in horrible condition, and the floor had a bunch of gouges in it and cigarette burns. They had not been nice to this trailer, but there was enough of it and enough of the original laminate that went underneath the bed area that we could take pieces and cut it out and patch it, and there's the floor restored to the most beautiful floor you've ever seen. And it's really the thing when people walk in, they're like, wow, that floor is amazing. Where'd you get it? You can't get that. That's original. This is the one that I told you about, that she wanted it to be a painted trailer, even though it's all brand new wood. And yet we kept the sink and the stove, and those are original. And we also, talking about curtains, those are actually not curtains. I believe that they were fabric she found at a Walmart. The owner found this fabric and it was very boho, and that was kind of her taste. So we went with it and we made it into curtains, and it was perfect for her. And I think that's the thing that matters. Is it perfect for you? Because it has to be what you love. On the right, this is the Dalton, the 57 Dalton I told you about. When I met the owners of this trailer, they brought it to us for a full frame-up restoration. All she could say is, I want something atomic. I want it to be really appropriate to the era. And I have that caddy of glasses in our shop, and I think they're beautiful. And she had a yellow sink, so we're like thinking yellow and atomic. And so I start showing her fabric samples, and she saw this one with the atom and the rocket and the planet, and she's like, I love that. So it had colors that we could draw on, and that's really how we let these glasses become the inspiration that influenced these trailers. And I think it worked really well and illustrates the point. What I mentioned before was, be careful not to be too crowded in your trailer or too kitschy in your trailer. I think you can very easily start to look like a caricature of what you're trying to capture, instead of being a beautiful example of the era. You don't want to be an imitation of the era. I imagine that you're not going to be, setting up a diner in your trailer. Yet this trailer looks like a diner instead of looking like a trailer from the era. So I think you know what I mean. I think that it's important when we're talking about inspiration to recognize that inspiration can be something completely unrelated to a trailer. In our holiday house, I started out with, this was the inspiration, the green genie bottle with that dramatic bottom. I thought that was such a beautiful piece of art glass, and I love American art glass. And so that became the inspiration. So I went on to Spoonflower, and I put in my keyword was with vintage bottles, and I found this fabric. And it has the silhouettes of vintage bottles. And I thought, that is amazing. And it's got the blue that I love. It's got the orange I love. And this trailer, I wanted to do a little more neutral. And so I thought these colors were perfect for that. And I really let the curtains influence the design, because I picked up that beige color and carried it through to the front couch area, the banquette area there, and it's carried through into the bedroom and into the towels, and I really used that fabric everywhere. So you can see how one thing becomes an inspiration. Another thing that was, I think, nice about this trailer was that light fixture. We saved all of the original light fixtures in the holiday house, which was in horrible condition when we got it, just complete tear down. But I had found that light fixture in a barn in Santa Cruz, California about 5 years ago. And I didn't know what I was going to use it for, but I just knew it was too cool to pass up. And so I saved it, and it's perfect in this trailer. I was happy I waited. So you might be wondering, where do you find all this stuff? For the fabrics, like I said, you can find a lot on eBay if you know that you want to use a bark cloth or a chenille. In one trailer, I used vintage tablecloths and made the curtains out of that. Chenille bedspreads make great curtains too, and shower curtains. But if you've got something more specific in mind, I would recommend spoonflower.com. I don't get any kickback from them, but I use them a lot. They can artists upload their images, their designs, and then you can print it onto a myriad of different fabrics. As I said, I tend to use a lightweight linen. I like the weight of the fabric, the way it drapes, the way it moves. And I think that's a really nice fabric to use. For upholstery, we have a local upholstery guy that we use, AOK Upholstery here in Carson City. Our friend Gus, he's wonderful. Or you can do it yourself if you have the skills. I can sew curtains, but I can't do upholstery without it looking like I did the upholstery. So, but there might be a seamstress or a tailor in your town that has those skills, and I would recommend that you use them. Might be less expensive. Upholstery can be one of your most expensive pieces of a restoration. For the laminates, surprisingly, I do a lot at Home Depot or Lowe's. There is a lot that can be found. They carry Wilson Art, and Wilson Art is an old brand, and sometimes I think that things that they don't even realize could work in a vintage trailer does work in a vintage trailer. Something like that hash mark I showed you. I don't think that this one is particularly vintage, but in our application, it becomes very vintage. But it probably fits in a modern home just as well. And if I'm going to go real fancy, because the ones at Home Depot are probably no worse than $150 a sheet, which is reasonable for this. But if you're going to go fancy and it's worth the splurge, we always go to our friend Susan Holla, who owns Make It Mid-Century, and she created Sparkle Lam, which is a line of, she's recreated of the sparkle laminates with the gold or the silver flecks in it. More expensive, but beautiful, and sometimes you need that statement. The Sparkle Lam is also a nice bridge between a print curtain and a solid flooring and upholstery. It still gives you a little bit more than just a solid. And if you're really going to splurge, you can certainly go to a digitally printed laminate, but those are expensive. So this is just an example of some, not even all of the rings of samples that I have in our shop. We have got so many laminates in our shop. That one's got a hash mark on it. This one does too. There's so many subtle colors. This has boomerangs on it. I don't know if you can see that. More boomerangs. Boomerangs are always 60s and adorable. This has boomerangs on it. There's just lots of fun laminates out there, and I have tons of samples, so if you need help, we can talk. I love to talk about this stuff. Look for inspiration all around you. This is 4 times that Paul and Caroline have been kind enough to feature our work in the pages of their Vintage Camper Trailers magazine. And that first picture I showed you of look at the condition of your trailer, and I said this is the Field and Stream, and then this is the one that was an aluminum trailer. That's the one that's on the cover on the left, and we did a real 50s motif in that one because it was a 50s trailer and it looked great. There's Gidget, she's in there. That's the one that has the dog dish in the center there with the chartreuse stripe, a great example of bright color. And on the right is the Leisure Home. So if you go to a rally, you're going to meet people who have beautiful trailers, and they can tell you themselves what they did. Trailerites love to show you their work and love to tell you how they did it, and they'll share with you the resources of where they got this fabric, where they found that laminate. I think that's one of the best resources that I have. I just look around and I talk to our friends. People do amazing things. When I design with someone, I always do a design board. This is the design board, and it might seem crude and it might seem like, elementary art school, but it really helps me and my customer to visualize things. So I get a piece of foam core and I'll take a sample of the fabric, and I'll take a piece of the wood and a piece of the laminate and a piece of the flooring, and we kind of put it all together and see, does it all work together? And you can see there's some pictures of the interior. We did a champagne gold chenille, very soft, and made a little love seat so they could sit and watch their TV. To the left there is their bathroom. Had a built-in microwave, TV with Roku. It had a refrigerator. It had induction cooktop. It has it all. Shower. And together you and I can work, and we can work on creating a design board to help you visualize what you want for your trailer. But that's about it. Lastly, I want you to know that you can visit us at Trailer Magic. We're here in Carson City, Nevada, which is close to Reno, if you know where Reno is, off of the 80. I can do an in-person consultation with you here in our shop, or I can do a video consultation, and we'll go through all the questions I talked about and figure out really, what do you want? Let me help you figure out what you want, and then help you find the resources and put together a design board and get you working on that. If you need more than that, my husband Rob can always help you with all your restoration and reimagining needs. Sometimes it's just a little fix. There might be a window rot, there might be a replacement of your butyl tape or your J-rails leaking, or it might be a full frame. So give us a call. Rob has some other sessions that he's doing in the boot camp. One is on how to know if your trailer is worth restoring. And he's got some tutorials on hair standard and jalousie window restorations at other times in the boot camp. And I just want to thank you very much for your time with me. It's a lot of information, so here's how you can reach us. We're on Facebook, and we monitor it all the time, and we have our own website, and you can give us a call. And we'd love to talk trailers with you. So until we see you sometime camping soon, take care, and thank you very much.